Hey there, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Building the Nantahala Retreat, brought to you by Audible. And thanks to one of our very, very talented subscribers, Palvos Venturis, you can now see what this project is going to look like when it's done. Morning, fellas. How are you?
Sure.
So we're going to run this Bobcat in a minute. I can't help but notice, Ray, where you parked your new truck is like such an untrusting location of me driving this thing, like tight to the very edge. Was that you trying to say something here?
Trash trailer. There's a trash trailer too. We don't trust you.
Yeah. I'm gonna show you.
All right, second time I'm running this thing. Let's see how it goes.
John Hampton, thank you. He came through again. Yeah, we were gonna shovel this, right? Did you know that? So he brought us this machine this morning. I called him and he said, "Yep, I got a machine. We're gonna move the gravel." Thanks.
John, if you were here right now, I would hug you. I'm so happy that we were praying on the way up here. Please be there, please be there, please be there. And we pulled in and there she is. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be a good day.
Today we're going to continue with the slab prep on this project by adding 4 inches of 57 wash stone for underneath the slab. We're also going to set some grade pegs for the top height of the slab, and we're going to add the vertical steel that will be in our wall for when we pour it. We'll be using this front row of header block as our reference. It's exactly the height of the top of the slab to get our reader set correctly on our stick with this laser setup.
We'll check this one pin we put in.
And also, very importantly, we're going to check that none of our grade pins for the top height of the slab go through the slab plumbing. We're going to measure that out and check it first.
It's like the red carpet. Who wore it better?
Ray, I just sat in here for at least 5 minutes looking for the key.
Yeah, I was watching.
Before I looked up, it's up here. There's gauges and stuff up here. Oh my gosh, I'm an idiot. All right, now we can do it. Driving this tracked skid steer is more like playing a video game than driving a car. You literally have 2 joysticks, one for each hand. The left one controls your movement and the right one controls the bucket. So I'd imagine if you're a kid that's good at video games, you'd be really good at this. We're starting with about 30 tons of this 57 wash stone, and that's 2 tandem axle dump truck loads. I really needed just 1 1/4, but it's not much more expensive to get a whole dump truck load instead of a quarter, because most of the cost is actually just the delivery fee. As I bring the gravel down the hill and into the slab area, Jason and Ray are using a rake and the laser with this reader to make sure the gravel is perfectly level and all at the same elevation, so we don't have thick and thin spots in our slab on top of this. This 4 inches of gravel is actually required by code under slabs around here, and it gives the slab a nice firm level base, as well as giving a place for static water pressure to discharge under the slab. It also makes radon mitigation much more effective if you need to add a radon mitigation system ever in the future. How many days you had that new truck, Ray?
4.
All right. What's Jason doing here?
Looking for trucks.
I mean, I knew it wouldn't take long.
No.
Dude, you know I've been talking about a truck for a year now.
Oh, you've been talking.
Is this like 1920 or something? Why are we mixing this by hand?
We just need a little bit. I'm not going to get that mixer. It takes an hour to clean the mixer. We're not going to clean the mixer for that much mud. I know people are going to ask, Ray, did you feel more confident with the double dumper there?
Yeah, it was definitely nice. Got the 2 wheels. Can't go wrong. Deflated tires.
Deflated tires. That's my fault on that one.
Yeah.
Didn't bring it home. This video was made possible by Audible, the leading provider of spoken word entertainment all in one place. And Audible is the perfect companion for summer because no matter where you're going or what you're doing, you'll always have just the right thing to listen to at your fingertips. Audible has it all, an unbeatable selection of audiobooks, tons of binge-worthy podcasts, and exclusive originals. And here's what you get. As an Audible member, you can choose 1 title a month, like the latest bestseller or the hottest new release, yours to keep forever. And right now, for a limited time, Amazon Prime members can save 53% on 4 months of Audible. That's only $6.95 a month. I really enjoy learning about history and really enjoyed the Audible original by Michael Pollan, Caffeine, recently. Get more out of this summer with Audible. To take advantage of this incredible limited time offer, go to audible.com/Perkins. That's audible.com/Perkins. After getting some mud mixed up the old-fashioned way, it was time to go ahead and lay the last bit of header block across and close this opening. And yes, we left it on purpose just for the reason of getting in and out with the skid steer without knocking over our row of header block. Once our blocks were in, I very carefully raked some gravel up against them to level out with the rest of the gravel. Gravel looks good, right? It's all level?
Yeah, it's great.
Well,
Until now.
yep, so there's a load-bearing wall right down the middle of this thing. It needs an 8-inch thick footing. How are we gonna do that?
I'm guessing dig it out.
Correct.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Okay. So what we're doing here is digging out some of this gravel to have a thickened area in the slab that will act as a footing underneath our load-bearing wall. And it may seem like a waste to get all this gravel in here and then shovel it out. I find it much easier to get all the gravel level in one shot and then come back and get rid of the gravel in certain areas like this. With our gravel removed, we could go ahead and set the grade pins for our slab, and we're setting these 6 pins with a laser level in a grid type fashion, and we'll be able to use a screed board that is longer than 9 feet to reach across 2 of these or 1 of these to a wall surface and level the concrete using a screed board. One other way that we had commonly set up for screeding like this is to use keyways, which you set level and then run the screed board across. And these keyways also give you a sort of key joint from one section of slab to the other. The huge swirly marks around these pins are simply so we see them. I've tripped over a lot of these in the past because they really just disappear in the gravel. This is one of our past projects where the finished floor was the concrete and we used rebar on this slab. On this one, we'll just use fiber reinforced concrete. Also shown here is another way to level the concrete. These guys are using a grade pole that they remove and then fill in the void later. The final step of this process that we're actually not doing today is adding a layer of 6mm poly over this gravel that will act as a vapor barrier. If I do it now, it will likely be gone, blown away by the time we pour the slab. After a quick break, we got to putting this vertical steel in the wall. This is 5/8 rebar. We're cutting these sticks 9 feet long, and they're going to be every 2 feet down the length of each of these walls. And I am lining them up on the J-bars that come out every 4 feet out of the footings as well. This is about double the amount of required vertical steel in this wall. And remember, we also added horizontal steel every 2 feet. So now we basically have a grid of vertical and horizontal steel every 2 feet that'll be poured into this wall. As a side note, I should have called way further ahead to schedule the concrete pour for this job. I called about a week ahead of time, which I thought would be plenty. Turns out concrete and concrete pumpers in this area are about 2 weeks out. So after this day, we actually had about 5 days off because there was no way we're getting concrete, Perkins Builder Brothers or not. Short 5 days later, we were able to get back at it as I was able to secure concrete, a concrete pumper, and a power trowel all on the same day. And while I was still en route, Jaime and the guys finished the slab prep by installing this 6mm vapor barrier across the top of our gravel.
It's always tricky getting this plastic cut just right on the pipes, isn't it?
This thick layer of plastic will prevent moisture or water from wicking up from the ground into our concrete slab, which is part of our living space, and that is code around here. We also wrapped around any of these pipes that will go through the slab in this foam sill sealer to basically keep the concrete from sticking to the pipes and to give them a little wiggle room for the slab to move. With everything up and running, we poured the wall first, and we generally do this first because we don't want to drop any concrete off the wall onto a freshly poured slab and mess up our finish. The concrete we're using here is a pump mix, which means it has smaller aggregate, so it'll actually flow through the pump and through the hose and not get clogged. And you can see we had to get rid of a little bit down in this trench because it was too stiff when it first came out of the truck and wouldn't flow down into our wall.
Hey, I like those boots, man. Hey, you like these? That's another use for just, what is that? Is that just foam?
It's some foam and some zip tape. Man, they're so comfortable. Keep the concrete off you. I mean, I don't know why you would do anything different.
I know why you do something different. You actually have some boots.
But what if you're like me and you couldn't find your boots?
In my opinion, the real art of pouring concrete and having a nice level slab is actually just being able to do it without working yourself to death. That means you have to put the right amount in the right place, at the right speed to where you can keep up with it as you're going with the screed board.
You're more into this than he is.
Dude, that's like craftsmanship right there. You ever try to do that? It ain't easy, bro.
Now that we're placing the concrete, let's talk about some of our tools. We're using this aluminum pole. I actually bought this from a guy that was building screen porches, and I thought, man, that looks like the perfect pole for me.
Lightweight, straight?
Yeah, straight. It's aluminum. So I bought that, and about $100. I cut it into 2 pieces. I've got 2 big poles here. That one's 14, this one's 10. So I'm kind of scraping across the concrete, kind of jigging it up and down and making it level. Now, there's not a whole ton I love about doing concrete, but I will tell you this. It's kind of like hand planing a board, see? And that's what I like to do. So you can imagine this whole surface is a big board that's uneven, and my job is to take my plane here and sort of go across the surface. And really, I found that it's best to go in opposite, like perpendicular directions, because you get the best chance of knocking high spots off and filling in low spots. Now in woodworking, you don't fill in low spots, but you do take off the high. So if there's anything that I gotta say that's super important about this, if you only catch one thing, this is it. When you're doing this, you gotta make sure that when you're holding your pole, you're not putting a lot of down pressure on it, you're just letting it float across and scrape the high spots down. And then,
in addition to using our grade pins, our other reference for height is the top of our first row of block, which is also the same height as the top of our header block, and that's what we put the concrete to around the whole outside edge here. For me, doing concrete work can be super stressful, and it's mainly about ordering the right amount. You can't save concrete for later if you order too much, and if you don't order enough, you can't finish. In this case, we needed just more than 2 truckloads, and a truckload can only be about 8.5 yards due to the slope of our hill. So I had to make the call whether to order $300 or $400 more just in case we run out.
all the stress was for this. All the calculating, all the figuring, and wondering if we should order a second truck or not. Good thing we did. We needed this much. It'd have been hard to rake it down to make that fill in, you know.
We could have just filled it with bags of mortar.
Erik, I don't know if we just messed with it. You may have noticed I had the pump guy stop a few times to let me catch up with the screed pole. The reason is if he puts out too much concrete, it's high out here, it's gonna start to cure ahead of me, and that's just gonna mean I'm gonna have a lot of blisters on my hand. There was this one time we had a pumper guy who was really, really eager to get all the concrete pumped out and leave, and he did.
Yeah.
And he left me and Philip. It was just me and Philip, and Philip Reed, love you, buddy. But he didn't know how to do concrete at all. As a matter of fact, he had never done it. This was his very first time, so it was just me and him. And of course, I was sweating, my hands were bleeding. We're trying to get this concrete leveled out, and it was setting way too fast in front of us. I guess we got it done. It probably wasn't our best job in the world, but it helps to get the pumper guy to put the right amount of concrete at the right time and not get ahead of you, and it'll save you heartache and bleeding.
Pro tip.
I got a pretty good pro tip.
What's that?
Don't do concrete. Yeah. You won't have to worry about any of this.
Great tip.
With the last 1/4 of a yard of concrete placed, we could relax for a minute. Jaime could take off his makeshift boots, which, by the way, actually worked perfectly. And we could wait around a minute until it's time to actually get out on this concrete and start the finishing process. Here I'm using our knee boards, which are actually specially made for getting out on partially cured concrete like this. And I need to hand trowel in the corners and around the plumbing pipes where our power trowel can't get. And you need to do this before because hand troweling need a little bit softer concrete to work. After getting a jump on this first section we had poured that was starting to cure before the rest of it, I had to back my way back off the slab, covering my tracks as I went so that when I got the troweling machine out, I wouldn't have a real mess to deal with. The wizard Arlo says if you throw a pebble and it bounces, it doesn't stick, that we're ready to get out on it. Uh-oh.
It bounced.
Look where you're going.
How's it going?
I've seen things like this go bad before. So.
Yeah, this is where it goes bad.
I got it, bro. I got it.
What?
This power trowel has an adjustable speed using the throttle of the engine, and it also has an adjustable blade angle. And when I get out on the concrete at first and it's still pretty wet, I like to use a low speed and a pretty shallow blade angle to start out. Another thing I'm battling here is that this slab was poured in sections and actually from 3 different concrete trucks, so sections of it are curing and getting ready for this power trowel faster than others, so you kind of just have to feel it out and know when it's time to move on to those sections you poured later. The blades on this machine spin in one direction, which makes it seem like this thing would be completely out of control and unsteerable, but magically enough, you can either push down or lift up on the handle, and this thing will actually steer left or right. This final process of finishing took about 2.5 hours and involved multiple, probably 4 passes over the slab with this machine. And we basically work the slab until it starts to look like this. It starts to have this burnished sort of look, which is probably actually metal coming off the blades of the power trowel as it's grinding on the concrete because it's smooth and hard.
All right, good day, man.
Are we done?
Yeah, we're done.
Oh, just like that?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Framing tomorrow.
Wow. Yeah, good day. Thanks, bub.
See you in the morning.
Yeah. What time you gonna be here? About 12?
Yeah. See ya. Where's your truck?
What? Away from here.
You're
Nowhere
worse,
near
you're
this.
worse than Ray, man. Oh, there it is. Yep, he is smart.
I actually got concrete all over my truck, so that was a good idea.